What's up, you big, beautiful Madridistas? Kiyan Sobhani here. We got a really, really exciting episode coming for you guys in a second. As always, we got to give a shout out to our presenting sponsors who we love dearly. Head on over to moji-mates.com for the coolest t-shirts you'll ever see. Whether it's Cristiano Ronaldo noodle hair, Zinedine Zidane's France shirt, Ronaldo Nazario with his epic haircut. We got stuff from old school stuff like Alfredo Di Stefano. We got current stuff like Arda, Guler, Jude, Bellingham, Vinicius Jr. Head on over to moji-mates.com. That's moji-mates.com, moji-mates.com, and browse through the incredible inventory they have and get yourself some of the coolest t-shirts you can find that are football related. No question. Also, a shout out to TAFC Academy. They hosted our podcast in Toronto. The staff were incredible facilities. They let us play pickup footy with our fans. They had another room for us to do our podcast. We'll be back once a year. And if you're in Toronto and in Ontario and you got kids, go to tacsports.ca. March break coming up. Swimming academy, basketball academy, soccer clinics, you name it. Go to tacsports.ca. And with that all being said, we have 5 bold predictions. Probably more. It's going to be more, but minimum 5 bold predictions for the 2025 calendar year. Are you guys ready? I hope you're ready. Let's get it.
Nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
Drum roll! Leah Revelle!
Yay! I'm excited. Yo, that intro always gets me. I don't know why. I was like,
I know. It's a banger. It's a
It
banger.
is a banger. It is.
Yeah,
It
it's
really
catchy
is.
for sure. No question. I'm very, very excited to
I'm excited.
see what you have in store for us. And I think it's really interesting the timing of this episode because it came after a horrendous weekend of getting absolutely waxed by Barcelona, which,
Wow.
I think like if you're going to put out predictions after such a low moment, if you have any positive predictions, it just becomes bolder. If you have positive predictions at such a low moment, people are going to be like, what are you talking about? Did you not see what just happened over the weekend? This is the second time we got destroyed by Barcelona, and you want to predict that we're going to win a treble? Are you crazy? And so, it's an interesting timing. Now, to remind listeners, these are bold predictions. We're not here to give you silly predictions like, Real Madrid are going to wear a white jersey next season.
We're going to have that on our chest.
If that's one of your predictions, I apologize for offending you.
Yeah, imagine our kids are white and yellow next season. Well,
these are bold predictions. These are not good predictions. These are not predictions that we might even think that will actually happen. These are bold predictions. So before you get twisted and angry about like a positive or a negative prediction, it's a bold prediction, not a good prediction.
It allows our imagination to soar a little bit.
So this is the same old gimmick that Leah and I have, in that she has a top 5 list prepared. I have a top 5 list prepared. We're going to go through Leah's list first, and then we'll go through my list, and we'll see where it takes us. So here we go. And we're going to rank them, right? So 5th on the list is going to be your least bold prediction, and 1st on the list is going to be your most bold prediction. So it's going to be progressive progressively bolder as we go through the list.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, what you got for us, Leah?
Despite the season that we're having thus far, I think we're still going to win the Champions League with Lucas Vazquez at right back, with Tchouameni at center back, and I think there'll be another important player out the further we progress in the season.
What do you mean another player
I
out?
think another important player will be out either for suspension, injury, something like that, and we'll win the Champions League despite having those 3.
Is there like a player that like they're so important that if that one player is out, it would change your mind, or like it could be anyone, and you still would hold that prediction?
Yeah, I think anyone. I think that's the boldness of it, because I think, do you remember the year we won against City with like Carvajal, Marcelo, and Jesus Vallejo as our like center backs and fullbacks? We like saw out the game with them. I think it'll be that kind of situation. Like we'll be in a final, and like our lineup is going to be even more bare than it already is. We're going to have no depth. Maybe Alaba will be back on the bench or something, and he'll play at like DM. Fede will be out, or someone important like that. And then Lucas Vazquez right back. Even Mendy at left back. And I think we'll still win the Champions League. And it will be Ancelotti's first title defense.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. He does not defend titles, as we know.
Mm-hmm.
We should go back and forth.
Yeah.
So mine is the same, believe it or not. and it's actually, I don't think it's bold, and I almost hesitated putting it on the list. The reason why it would be bold is for obvious reasons. Is that we're not playing up to par. We're underperforming with the squad we have, and then the fact that we actually do have squad issues, like all the defensive stuff, all the liabilities that we do have, the fact that we're not doing well in any big games. The reason why it's not bold is that it's a recipe for Real Madrid winning the Champions League, based on the history of the club and how bad they can be, despite like they can win the Champions League being 5th in the league. It's literally happened before. That's not an exaggeration. They can win the Champions League playing poorly. They do have a knack for relying on individual brilliance and coming up in the clutch when it matters, whether it's heroism from Thibaut Courtois or Jude, Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., and this year Kylian Mbappe pulling something out of their ass. So, but I think maybe the more interesting conversation is the ramifications of winning the Champions League with all these problems that you have.
Yeah.
Which is, Lucas and I were talking about this yesterday, Leah, the fact that the board gets away with so much. They just continue to not reinforce. They got away with Benzema's departure because Bellingham turned into Cristiano Ronaldo, and Joselu scored 18 goals and scored a brace against Bayern to save the season. There's been just so many examples of them getting away with stuff, and I do wonder what that means if they win the Champions League this season. And I think maybe one of the bigger picture things is that my prediction leads into this. This is the same prediction. This is not my number 4. You win the Champions League and Carlo stays. And the dialogue after the season is going to be as follows. See, we told you to be patient. We told you not to overreact when you lost those Clásicos. Carlo knows what he's doing, all this stuff. And then the cycle just repeats itself. And then we go into the next season, and then the dialogue, the conversation the cycle just repeats. I firmly believe that Ancelotti is not the type of the coach who will walk away when he's tired. This is his dream gig. This is what he wants to do until he dies. He doesn't want to do anything else with his life but coach Real Madrid. And unless he is pushed out the door, he's not going to resign for being tired or old or whatever.
You're so funny, because can I tell you my number 4? This is a good segue.
Okay.
Ancelotti will leave at the end of the season a year early, despite having a contract till 26. I think if we shit the bed this season, win nothing, I don't know. Genuinely, like, will Perez and the board sack him? I don't know. I'd like to say yes, but like Florentino Perez has no mercy. But I go through phases with Ancelotti where I'm like, okay, yeah, actually, like, look what he's done for the club already. And I think a lot of this stuff goes unnoticed. Like, I think that some things he gets wrong tactically, lineups, whatever. Some things he gets right. And I think there's like some inconsistency there. He did win us 2 Champions Leagues in 3 years. And also, you have to like look at what kind of talent he's developed in the time that he's been with us this time around, like in his second tenor. Like Vinny alone, to like be able to like hone Vinny's skills the way he has. I just think he's a really good man manager, and I think that he doesn't. But then after like Sunday, when we have players like Raul Asensio on the bench and Tchouameni starting at center back, you know, like those kinds of things just don't make sense to me. So, I go through phases, and I think that maybe Perez has a soft spot for him. I think this season, though, he'll be even more likely to leave. I think he leaves like COC if we don't win anything and he doesn't get sacked. If we win the Champions League, I think that's like a good moment for him to walk away, because I don't think we'll win anything else. I don't know. If we win the league, maybe a different story. Maybe he'll continue. But then that goes to your point, like there'll be a narrative at the end of the season if we end up winning a double again.
Yeah, I mean, I do think this season, more than any season so far, you've started to see the wear and tear on his face during press conferences. And I don't mean like physically aging. That's not what I mean. I mean just in terms of his patience levels, the way he deals with the press. It's just a little bit snappier. And he's quite charming and he's quite funny when things are going well. But there's been a lot of bad moments this season, a lot of tests that were not passed, failed miserably actually, and such an expensive squad and such high expectations that he's just starting to get more testing questions in the press conferences as well on top of that. And he's being very snappy with his answers. And you kind of saw with Zidane over time too. He was just like, I'm tired of this, man. I'm tired. Like you could see it. He was just tired. I honestly think if the press didn't exist, if media didn't exist, it would be so much easier probably to coach, you know, not having to deal with all the headaches and all this stuff. It would be much more appealing to stick around, but it's really draining. So if there was ever a season where Ancelotti would step away after winning a trophy, I feel like this might be that.
Yeah.
You know, I guess he would.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to change subject.
I was going to say, imagine I add this to the predictions, but imagine a season where we're doing as poorly as we are. Imagine we don't even get through in the like imagine we have to play playoffs to get through in the Champions League to the knockouts. We win the Champions League, we win the league in like the last game of the season, and we end up winning Copa del Rey because we lost the Super Cup. And then we just magically just walk away with a treble. And then what? Imagine? Crazy.
Look, sign me up.
Sign me up. Literally.
Sign me up for it. Sign me up. So we got, that's your number 4, right?
Yeah.
So my number 4 is about the fullback situation.
Okay.
And transfers. And rather than like going through and listing all the people we're going to get or the people we're going to lose, like, and have them in different tiers, like this is number 4 is just about all of it.
Okay.
I think this is what's going to happen.
Okay.
I think we're going to get Trent for free.
Yeah.
Davies is going to slip away.
Okay.
And I think some club is going to try to sign Miguel, which triggers us into action because we have right of refusal, and we're going to step in and block it and purchase Miguel back.
Mm-hmm.
But then we can't do anything with him because we have Ferland Mendy for some reason under contract again, which should not have been a thing. We should not have renewed him. And we still have Fran Garcia. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to buy him and we're going to loan him back to Girona. Kind of like what we did with Fran with Rayo. We did that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. So I think that's my prediction. So next season, our starting right backs are going to be Trent and Dani Carvajal, with Vasquez probably filling in a lot because Carvajal might not be back for a while. And if he comes back, we got to ease him in. And then our left back situation is going to be the exact same. And eventually Miguel will come when Mendy does leave.
Finally is out of contract. Okay. Do you think that Trent comes in January or Trent comes in the summer?
I don't see him coming in January. Do you? I my prediction was for the summertime.
Yeah. Well, hold that thought. But I think also summer. But I feel like it could be even bolder to assume he comes in January. The thing is, I guess it's now January. I was like, I guess I'll wait to see how the rest plays out, but it's literally January. So, yeah, I think we're as bad as we've been this season. So, like, it can't get any worse. I almost wish that we were bad for longer because I think that if we weren't, like, competing for the league at the moment, like, if we weren't in the top spot or a competitive spot, like, I think it might have been a bigger conversation. I just think Florentino board is way too stubborn to sign anyone in January.
So that's a really good point, and I think this is a key point that a lot of people miss. In that, in past examples when coaches have been sacked mid-season, it's often been in a situation when we're out of something or we're so behind in the title race that you need a change ASAP. But people have to remember that the Super Cup is not that important. It stings, and it's a really low moment because of the way it happened and who it happened against. Mm-hmm. But the Super Cup is not important. That's point one. And the second point is we're in all three competitions.
Yeah.
We're most likely going to qualify to the playoffs of the Champions League. What it'll be like 1 point back, whatever it is. Either way, we're right there in the league.
Yeah.
And Copa del Rey, we'll be eliminated on Thursday to Celta Vigo, but we're hitting it right now. So
facts. Literally facts. Here's the thing. So number one, if we lost against, let's say, like Bilbao or something on the weekend in the final, like, I don't think I'd feel the way that I feel. Like, I'd be like, ugh, annoying. It's a stupid, easy competition that, like, we typically win.
I mean, we also, people wouldn't have cared as much either if we had lost to Mallorca in the semifinal.
Literally.
Not even made the final.
Literally. It's because it's Barca. It's because we were dog shit, and it's because it was 5-2. They like wiped the floor. So for the second time. And so I think there's a big like media presence, like everything that we're seeing on Twitter and everything we're seeing it's just like extra annoying. But when it comes down to it, like to our standards, we're horrible this season. But in the bigger picture, the standards of most teams, like, we're doing okay. You know, we are still in all three competitions. If we can somehow pull off a Copa del Rey win, listen, trouble's not off the table. I'm just saying.
It's hard to think that way right now because of the way the team is playing. But yeah. we really don't know how the season is going to end. All right, so we got through 5 and 4. What's your number 3?
Okay, my number 3, I realize probably should have been number 4. They should have been switched. But I think that with Ancelotti leaving a year early, I think both Trent and Xabi Alonso come in the summer.
This would be, I had thought about putting Xabi Alonso in this discussion on my top 5, But because I kind of handcuffed myself and said Carlo's going to stay after a Champions League trophy, I couldn't discuss that. Because I think Xabi Alonso himself has like other dominoes which might fall because of his playing style, the players he needs, what he'll tell the board he needs, and what he doesn't need. And so that in itself brings in a lot of interesting discussions about what he would want. But Trent Xabi combo sounds cool to me in the summertime.
Right? I feel
Question
like
for you. If Carlo does step away, what do you think he does? Does he just go to Vancouver? Does he move to Vancouver and just
lives a life.
lives a life like in the mountains? We finally get him on the podcast because his wife is Canadian. We have that connection.
Listen, I think one of two things. I think he'll move to Vancouver, or genuinely, I'm not even bullshitting. I think he's not gonna look to manage a club team anytime soon unless someone like insane comes through for him. Maybe he'll manage the Canadian national team.
Jesse Marsch is doing pretty good.
Yeah, he is. But like I heard a rumor of that a couple years ago, and I feel like that's so low key if Jesse Marsch, I can't see Jesse Marsch leaving before the World Cup. That's the thing. I don't really foresee that unless.
Come on, he's not coaching Canada, Leah. Let's be honest.
Maybe
Brazil is more likely.
I don't know. I feel like Brazil is a project. Like that's like a really big, like Canada, he can just kind of chill and coast. His wife's Canadian. He said somewhere, I have to find it. I'm sure it was just jargon. Like he was just probably like shooting the shit. But verbatim, he did say, I'd like to coach the Canadian national team one day. So
if he does that, we're gonna build up podcasts in somewhere central. It'll be 3. We'll have it set up in, maybe we'll put it in Toronto or Ottawa. That way it's close to me, you, and Carlo. It'll be a round table with 3 chairs, and it'll be me, you, and Carlo, just 3-person podcast. We're gonna set it up.
100%. Listen, this is about bold predictions, okay?
Bold predictions. Kiyan and Leah and Carlo podcast starts in 2025.
You never know. But in all seriousness, I think that like he probably just chills. I think he's old now, unless he pulls like a Ray Hodgson and just like coaches till he dies. Ray Hodgson isn't dead, but like sometimes it scares me how like intense he gets at games, and I'm like, chill, dude, you're 80. Like, yeah, I can just probably see him chilling.
All right, that was your number 3.
Yes.
My number 3 should have maybe been number 1.
Okay.
It's kind of bold. I think Rodrygo leaves in the summertime.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Do you know what's funny you say that? Because I said, everyone always asked me this before Mbappe came, like, oh, there's no way that like you have 3 left wingers. Like, what are they going to do? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I always said, if someone were to leave out of our front 3, like even when Benzema was there, if someone was to leave, it would be Rodrygo. I think that I almost feel like both Zidane and Ancelotti weren't super fair to him, and haven't been fair. I know that okay, let me gather my thoughts. I have a lot of patience for Rodrygo because I know what he's capable of. And when I see him go through these like drops of form, it frustrates me because every single season, the minutes he gets are inconsistent. The starts he gets are inconsistent. The positions he plays are inconsistent. So he's dropping these performances in various different positions with various different roles with various different minutes. Sometimes he's just a sub. Sometimes he starts. Over the course of the last couple of years, he's started more. But then still, sometimes Brahim starts. Sometimes Rodrygo comes off in the 60th. Sometimes Rodrygo is playing left wing, center forward. He's playing you know what I mean? Like, especially pre-Jude, he was playing centrally. He was playing striker when Joselu wasn't starting, like, which was most games. Joselu didn't start. He'd play in front of Jude. Like, I just don't think he's had the consistency in all position, minutes, everything to really, really, really flourish the way that he should. If he played 90 minutes every single game, like Vinny or Fede or someone like that, Rudiger, and was really able to like fully develop and understand like the players that he's playing with. Like imagine understanding you're playing at right wing. Okay, you understand the overlap from Carvajal. You understand the way that Mbappe makes his runs. And then all of a sudden you don't start for 2 games, or all of a sudden you're playing centrally and the system's changed. Like that's really, really hard to, as a player and as a manager. And so I think from a management perspective, like from a playing perspective, he deserves better. And also like this guy would start and destroy in any other team, in any other league, in any other position in the top 3, in any other league, you know? So it's kind of like a Lunin situation. I love Rodrygo. I would love to keep him. But I think that if we keep him, I would love him to have consistency that he's not getting all the time. And if he doesn't get that, then I do think it's probably better for him to go elsewhere. Did I say similar to Lunin? That's what I meant to say in my head. Like, I love Lunin. I'd love it to see him get minutes, but it'd be way better for him to go and start in like a top 5 team elsewhere, because he's insane. But he just is never going to start over Courtois. And then like what, if we sign a right mid, or if Brahim, like the thing is like, if Brahim starts getting into really good form, Brahim starts. Like he's not really solidified that role either. So yeah. Anyway, I agree. I can see that.
You make great points. I also want to preface what I'm going to say by saying that I really like Rodrygo.
Me too.
I'm just kind of putting a lot of things together that stack up. And this goes back to something I said before this season started when we signed Mbappe. I said that if you read all the names on paper, Endrick, Rodrygo, Vinicius, Mbappe, Bellingham, Brahim. Did I say Guler? I'll say it now. Guler.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think every single one of those players will be here for the following season. And I think if you look at who would have to make way, if you stack it up together, it probably is Rodrygo, not because he's the worst player of the bunch. In fact, the opposite. I think it's because he's the best. And his market value will be the highest of those players. And excluding Vinny, Mbappe, Jude, obviously. But of like the remaining players, like he has higher value than Brahim and Guler and Endrick.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really sell Endrick because you just got him. He's a very long-term project. And Endrick is not going to complain about playing time at this stage of his career. Not to that extent anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Brahim of the two is probably more okay coming off the bench. And Rodrygo has the highest value. And obviously there's like the positional thing, like, you know, his best position is the left wing. I also think, while I do think Rodrygo is the best player out of the bunch and he has the highest value, I also think it's fair to say he has been outperformed by Brahim over the last 12 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
And based on merit and based on, you know, how much they would fetch for either of them, and based on who would be more okay with that role, I think it just would come down to the club looking at Rodrygo. Now, this could also not happen. I think it would also be dependent on how much of a ruckus Rodrygo would cause, you know, because he has come out and said some passive-aggressive things regarding the playing time and all this stuff. And I think we haven't seen that from Brahim. And I also think he is going to be naturally the sacrificial lamb and the scapegoat, unfortunately, because like we've already seen reports like of Carlo was going to bench him now as like the tactical solution.
Yeah.
And look, I'm also of the belief that it doesn't matter who you bench, this Real Madrid team is a mess. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like Camavinga doesn't play, we're a mess. We beg for Camavinga to start. Camavinga starts, the team is a mess. And it's like you can like copy and paste that for any player who in and out of the team. This needs a tactical shakeup and a more defined blueprint to save the defense, save the offense. It's a mess. So Rodrygo being benched, I don't even think is going to solve that. either way.
Agreed.
And he works his ass off defensively. Like, I don't know. I didn't talk about it after Clasico, but I had it in my notes that like he actually worked really hard defensively in that game. And he's far from the guy you blame.
Yeah.
But because we also have Vinny and Mbappe, like he's just going to be naturally the expendable one. I think he's kind of the player at Real Madrid, I think, that he's never going to be a locked-in starter, but he is clearly good enough to start or come off the bench. And there are just going to be bigger stars than him, and he's going to be in that kind of gray area. And I don't think, like, if he does decide to stay, I don't think he'll ever get what he wants in terms of being a guaranteed starter.
Agreed.
So
yeah, I agree.
It just adds up to him, I think.
I think I've said this on the podcast before, that if he and Vinny were switched in the order that they arrived, he would have solidified that left spot. Like, I think that he would have flourished. He would have been there. And someone said in the chat, like, can you imagine him at another European giant in the left wing position? Like, insane. He would be unplayable. Yeah. So, yeah, I love him. I would love him to stay. I would love him to be consistent. I also don't even know, like, what system are we playing? You know what I mean? Like, are we playing with wingers? Are we playing with 2 strikers? Like, what's going on? First of all, why did we sign 3 left mids and now we have 3, potentially 4 right mids, like, or left wings, right wings? Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't.
We really haven't signed players based on fit or need at all. We only go based on talent. Like, that's the way we've operated.
Yeah.
It's very similar to like NBA draft. People draft the best available player, not the player they need. That's what we've been doing essentially.
Yeah. And look at Chelsea. Like, not that we're anywhere on the same level as Chelsea in terms of their signings, but they just saw, oh, we have money now. Big name on the transfer market. Cool, sign. They have like 1,700 strikers. They have all of these midfielders, all of these wingers. And for what? Like, you know? So, yeah.
Okay, so we both did our top 3. Now we're at number 2. What do you got? I'm
gone from like 0 to 100. Okay? Like,
okay, I'm excited.
Like 3 was like whatever. 3 is like a prediction, not that bold. 2 and 1 are like bold.
Okay, let's do it.
I think Rodri leaves Man City, and I think he signs for Real Madrid.
Wait, hold on. Say it again.
I feel. Okay, let me say how I feel. I don't think. Rodri leaves City.
Okay.
And I think that he'll be rumored very heavily with Real Madrid, or he'll sign for Real Madrid in like the next 3 years. Maybe not in calendar 2025, but maybe we'll get like advanced talks in 2025 type thing. The reason being is we're in desperate need of a defensive midfielder. He's Spanish, and it's been thrown around as like a rumor before, but and imagine City fans then. I said what I said.
City fans. The one City fan. He's gonna be up in arms.
Yeah. This could even be 1. My 1 is maybe a little more realistic, to be honest, but
do you think the club would have to at that point sell Tchouameni?
No, not necessarily, but I think like his playing time gets cut at least in half, cut significantly. I just don't think there was a brief period of time where I was like, okay, Tchouameni like has got it. He just needs to develop. I do have some patience because he's not playing in his position, but then when he does play in his position, he doesn't play well. But then it begs the question, is his position even like a 6? Like, is he even a DM, or is he more like a center mid? So that's where I'm at with him. I wouldn't hate. I think he has the potential. I think he's expendable, though. I don't think he's someone on the team sheet that like is like Camavinga. I would never sell, and I don't think he'll ever leave. You know, I think he's got like 10 years at Real Madrid. But Tchouameni, I think, is one of those players that, like, I don't know if he would leave. I could see him being more of a squad player. I think he's got the potential to be more than that elsewhere. I could also maybe see him even going on loan. I don't know. But there's a lot of red flags that I'm seeing that go beyond just his like playing ability during a 90-minute span. Injuries, he's been like pretty injury prone in the last 2 years. So it might get to a point where just there's no, like, the return on investment there isn't what they thought it would be. And while he still has value, they might choose to sell him. But, like, at this point, again, if we don't take care of our defensive situation, he's a center back at this point. So whether he stays or not, like, we need to do something, whether it's sign a defender or sign a defensive midfielder.
My only hesitation of that happening, all of that, like the package of like bringing Rodri, potentially selling Tchouameni, I think Rodri's age is something to factor. I think he's coming off he's going to be coming off an ACL tear.
And his age, yeah.
He'll be 29 next summer coming off that ACL tear. That would worry me a little bit, unless you get him for free, which you're not. His contract goes until 2027, I think. Mm-hmm. That's where I think like Real Madrid have shown to be a little bit more cautious in the last couple, basically since Eden Hazard. Mm-hmm. And I think I had actually contemplated putting Tchouameni in my top 5 bold predictions of like maybe they sell him. The reason I didn't put him in that list is because I think Real Madrid rarely sell players when their market value was at their lowest.
Yeah.
They sold pretty high on Casemiro, Varane, Cristiano. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. I think you kind of have to hold on to Tchouameni and hope that he improves and gets back to his best.
But do you think that that's the thing? I don't know if, like, I'm sure he would improve over time. Different managers too can get different things out of players, but I also think that his market value right now is the highest. Like when we sold Casemiro, he was on the decline. When we sold Varane, it was the same kind of thing. He was on the decline.
But I think like the Varane one was shocking to me because like we had like no defenders left.
Yeah.
And
shocking. So look at us now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think, but like to your point about like could a different coach, I really feel like there's a gear that we haven't seen a lot of our players play at, and I do feel like a change would maybe help with that.
Mm-hmm. I fully agree. I said this about Klopp many years ago, is that like he played this high line, crazy attacking kind of style for years. And at the beginning of his tenure, like it worked. He caught people out. They dominated. They won the Champions League. They won the league. Like it worked. But then people catch on. People start to understand your tactics. People, you know what I mean? And same with the players. Like things get old. You bring new players in. Some of the players don't mesh the same as like some of the other players did before, they were separated. So I think doing the same thing for too long, like with anything, just isn't. In football, I feel like you just have to keep evolving. And that's one thing right now that I don't see Ancelotti doing much of. Like, system's not working. Okay, try a different system. You have all of these players, you know what I mean? Like, Tchouameni at center back isn't obviously working. So Raul Asensio's working. Start him. Who gives a shit if he's 12? You know what I mean? Who gives a shit if he lacks match fitness? He's playing better than Tchouameni, so start him.
Of all the numbers you could have used, you used age 12.
Yeah, my bad. Anyway.
So, I mean, yeah, look, I co-sign. This is why, like, there's all these reports of like Rodrygo being benched. Is this like that's? I'm willing to go on record on this, and you guys can come back to it and say if I was wrong or right. That's not the solution. Is not this player coming in and out of the team.
Yeah, Agreed.
The solution is the team needs to get their shit together. They can't play defense, whether they're in a low block, mid block, or high aggressive pressing. They can't put together meaningful passes to escape the back line when teams press them.
Literally.
Ancelotti said he learned in England to play long balls when he's facing a press. He has no idea what he's doing against Barca ever.
No.
I mean, this season, let's stick with that. Against Flick, he had made no adjustments. He had no solutions. That's not going to magically solve itself if Rodrygo gets replaced by like Ceballos and you play an extra midfielder. Sorry, it's not.
Yeah.
It might work next week, but it's not like it's a long-term solution.
No, our defense was abysmal. And like there's only so much that you can fault Tchouameni and Lucas Vazquez. You know what I mean? I mean, like at least Mendy, you can fault him a little bit because he's a defender. But neither Tchouameni nor Lucas Vazquez are defenders. And for me, it's just stubbornness. Like things aren't working, change them. Okay, things aren't working for one game, that's one thing. But things aren't working the whole season with the same, like we have the same issues. Like defensively, we are like a sieve, like we're like a strainer. You know what I mean? Have you seen the meme where it's like all the security guards on a pitch and they're like, do, 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 but the people are just going? It's literally like that. So like Raul Asensio has proven himself for a few games. Try it. At least try it. Give him a few minutes. Like it can't be as bad as it's been with Lucas Vazquez and Tchouameni. You know, if we're gonna concede 5 with Tchouameni and Lucas Vazquez or Raul Asensio, at least then you know. Anyways, I'm getting triggered.
It's good. It's good for the podcast. We need the heat. All right, so we're at my number 2, right?
Yeah.
All right, my number 2 is Jude Bellingham wins the Ballon d'Or.
So funny. God damn it, Kiyan, you read my mind.
Is that yours?
My number
for
1.
Number 1?
Yeah.
Oh, hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I said Vinny or Jude win the Ballon d'Or this year.
Okay.
And I think if it's Jude, I think Jude's number 2 and Rodri to Real Madrid is number 1. If Vinny wins the Ballon d'Or, I think that would be my number 1 because like how funny would that be? But anyways, continue.
So my argument for this is that this goes back to bold prediction number 5, which is Real Madrid win the Champions League.
Yep.
So he'll have that with him. And he's our best player this season. He has been. And so he'll be the best player on the best team in Europe. He'll have that. There's no World Cup. There's no Euros.
Yep.
So finally we can discuss a club season. We have the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
I don't care, but FIFA probably cares.
Yeah.
Although Ballon d'Or is not a FIFA award, I suppose. But anyways, it could shape the narrative.
Okay.
The guy from El Salvador might have no choice because Real Madrid won the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
So that's my prediction. Jude Bellingham wins the Ballon d'Or.
I co-sign. That's my number 1. Jude or Vinny win the Ballon d'Or. I think like Vinny's not had a super standout season this season. The thing is, like, I think Barcelona fans have really like infiltrated our minds because for some reason I think this season is like way more over than it is. Like it's literally January 14th. You know what I mean? There's several months left and the biggest like competitions of the season, the biggest, most important like time of the season is the next like 5 months. So we haven't even like there's more left of the season than we've played. So you never know. Vinny could like Mbappe even could like randomly pull up in some insane numbers, win the Champions League, and then they're all contenders. But I think our most consistent player this season has been Jude. I think that other people now, like the masses, are watching games trying to hate watch, being like, oh shit, this guy is actually Zidane. Like he actually, regardless of whether or not he's scoring goals, like what he's contributing, the way that his like flawlessness on and off the ball is just, yeah. So yeah, that's my number 1.
I guess that brings us to my number 1.
Yep.
It's Arda Güler related.
Okay.
I think Arda Güler will be. So this is for the 2025 calendar year. Obviously, this prediction, and it you'll start seeing it in the fall of next season.
Okay.
Arda Güler is going to be
Excuse me.
start. Bless you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Arda Güler is going to be a starting midfielder, and he's going to be given like a Florian Wirtz-esque role next season.
Okay.
He's going to grow into the team, and he's going to be a starter.
Okay. Especially if that coincides with Rodrygo was your number 3 that he leaves?
Yeah.
4. Yeah. If he leaves, then for sure.
And he is going to be, in part, he grows into that role and he starts becoming the player we thought we had signed.
Mm-hmm.
And he is going to be a big answer to a lot of our progressive passing issues.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be dropping a little bit deeper. He's going to be finding players between the lines, and he's going to find his feet, and that'll be his breakout year next season.
Okay. Can I just say, I think that's like a really realistic prediction. And I would love for that to happen because I love him. But it's so funny that like our standards as Madrid fans are so high that like Jude, Vinny winning the Ballon d'Or, that's number 2. That's number 2. Winning the Champions League is number 5.
Yeah.
And then all of these other ones are number 1. That's funny. But I love that. And I would love that. Who would leave then? Who would be dropped? Rodrygo?
I mean, it would just, I don't know who's going to be dropped, but I think like the front 3, like you have those 3 lock players in the attack, which is Jude, Vinny, and Mbappe. And whether Jude plays in midfield or attack, it doesn't matter. He's a locked player in the starting lineup. And then you have Fede, who's guaranteed. And then it's probably like something like Camavinga. Like, I don't exactly know the specifics of it, but, it's going to be Arda Güler is going to be a focal point.
I would love that because imagine a midfield even of Arda, Camavinga, and Fede. Like the creativity alone, like if Camavinga can actually play in a role where he's not like whether he's playing a CM or whether he's playing like double pivot with Fede, when he has a little more freedom and can actually like, but then also he has his defensive ability where if like Arda's ball carrying, then he can drop and like cover the space. Oh, yes. Yeah. And then Jude, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I have one bonus bold prediction.
Okay.
That is like earth shattering.
Okay.
It's bonus. But we're in overtime now. I think bold prediction number 1A is Vinicius goes to Saudi.
Really?
Like just gets signed and goes to the Saudi league.
You think that will actually happen?
I think it's more possible than people think.
Okay.
Because by all reports by reputable people, there's like basically a close to 1 billion offer for him. Like,
insane.
And at who, like, look, I would turn it down because I am a saint. But who in their right mind would turn that down, like realistically?
Yeah. I don't know.
If you're Real Madrid and you had Mbappe and Rodrygo in your team and Jude, and you just got like $1 billion to build, to buy everyone you want, to progress, to fix the sound in the stadium, you can't turn that down.
No. But then I beg the question, if anyone were to turn that down, that like ate, slept, bled a club, I feel like it could be Vinny. But maybe this is this is me being naive because I thought Sergio Ramos was retiring at Real Madrid. Same with Cristiano. And when they left, even when Cruz like announced his retirement, I was like, the fuck? So that would be earth shattering.
It would be unprecedented, obviously, in football history. And not just because of the fee, but also because like a superstar in his prime at that age to leave.
Yeah.
And basically say goodbye to relevancy. I mean, look, I'm sure some people will watch it, fine, but you know what I mean. Like, so it's like, look, we're 49 minutes into the podcast. We've dished out 5 bold predictions. I'm not saying it's going to happen. this is beyond bold.
This is why they're predictions.
Yeah, this is not even a bold. This is just like, this is not a bold prediction. This is like seismic bold prediction. So take it with a grain of salt. But if it does happen, I'm taking credit for it.
Okay, let me give you one that I think is realistic. We've given our dues to Barcelona in the last 2 times we faced them.
Yeah.
I think we go on another tear. Listen, Barcelona fans and other like city random fans, Atletico Madrid fan, all of these like stupid people on the internet. No offense. Offense. All of a sudden think that like we've been just tormented by Barcelona over the last like 2 decades. When in reality we won like 5-6 Clásicos in a row before they beat us once. So I think now, starting now, like we might face them again in Copa del Rey. We have to face them again in the league. We obviously are facing them next year in Clásicos and blah, blah, blah. I think we go back on our other side where we do the destroying and we don't get destroyed. I don't even think that's a hot take.
I mean, that's pretty. I honestly do think that's bold. But I think we can go on a run, but I don't know if we would actually beat Barca the way we've approached these 2 Clásicos. It's possible that we win and we go on a run and we win everything except the Clásicos because they are just a bogey team and Ancelotti has no idea how to deal with Flick. Much like we won everything last year and Atletico was our bogey team. I could see that. I don't know. Just the way I've seen these 2 Clásicos, I don't know if I would have that much confidence, but would be nice.
It would be nice.
We do have 3 super chats. I completely forgot. Like the plan wasn't to take super chats; it was just to go over our predictions. But we'll blitz through them really quick. Might be the greatest super chat ever. Rocky donated $2 to say, "Kiyan, nice to see your lovely face." I got paid to take a compliment. That's the best day ever. Thank you. Thank you, Rocky. Shayon Saha says, how can a coach make the same mistakes every big game? Is he that incompetent?
Stubborn. He's stubborn AF. I think that's the issue.
Also because part of it is that he's, for better or worse, pretty simple with his tactical ideologies. And in some cases, I think that's a good thing. It's like Occam's razor. You don't want to overcomplicate and get in the way of superstars. And he's won a lot because of that. But there are also clear situations over and over again that when it comes to more complex tactical structures, when another coach brings something to the table, he hasn't had answers for them. Yeah. He had obviously no answers to the first Clásico. And then instead of learning from it, he came back and just showed us that he had no adjustments.
Yeah.
Footy Analytics, and this will be the last one before we wrap it up here, says sell Tchouameni and/or Rodrygo and go for players in positions we actually need. Sign marquee defenders, a solid 5, and a striker.
Period.
I think we'd all agree we need defenders. I mean, the striker part is debatable. Like, I don't know if we need like a Holland, but we could use like a Joselu profile. That's for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Or just use Endrick more.
Yeah.
But I agree. Definitely.
Cool. 5 bold predictions plus a few bonus ones. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And, I don't know how many of these will come true, if any, but certainly if they do, you'll find the clip on TikTok.
Yeah. Posted again.
Look. Leah was ahead of her time. Look at this clip from January. She called it. We're gonna clip it. No question. Awesome, guys. Thank you. Thanks to everyone who joined our post-game show on Sunday and partook in the much-needed therapy session. Lucas and I also did El Dia Después. That dropped for our members yesterday. And then tomorrow, we got our monthly Zoom call for our members. If you want access to all of that and more, go to patreon.com/Managing Madrid. And if you're on YouTube, you can simply hit the memberships tab on this YouTube channel. All right. Thanks, guys. Leah, thank you.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Bye.